It started with a sound, not a scream or a crash, but a low, guttural hum, like the earth itself was exhaling. I heard it at 3:17 a.m., lying in bed, staring at the ceiling of my new apartment. The noise wasn't loud, but it was wrong, a vibration that crawled up my spine and settled in my skull. I sat up, heart pounding, and listened. It came again, softer, from beneath the floorboards. I lived on the ground floor. There shouldn't have been anything under me but dirt and concrete. Yet there was humming like a machine buried deep, alive and waiting. I'd moved into the apartment 2 weeks ago, a cheap rental in a decaying industrial town in Michigan. The building was old, a squat brick relic from the 1940s, once a factory worker's tenement. The landlord, a wiry man with yellowed teeth, had rushed me through the lease signing, muttering about good bones and quiet neighbors. The place was a steal, $400 a month for a one-bedroom, but it felt off. The walls were stained with faint, irregular patches, like water damage that never fully dried. The air smelled faintly of rust and something sour. My neighbors, the few I'd seen, moved like shadows, slipping in and out of their units without a word. I didn't care much at first. I was 24, fresh out of a bad breakup, and just needed a place to crash while I figured out my next move. That night, the humming didn't stop. It pulsed, irregular, sometimes fading to a whisper, sometimes sharp enough to rattle my teeth. I got out of bed, barefoot, and pressed my ear to the floor. Cold would bit into my skin. The sound was clearer now, almost rhythmic, like a heartbeat. I told myself it was pipes, maybe a furnace in the basement. But this building didn't have a basement. At least, that's what the landlord said. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and scanned the room. Nothing. Just my thrift store furniture and unpacked boxes. The hum grew louder, and for a split second, I swore I heard a voice woven into it, a faint, garbled whisper, like someone speaking underwater. I didn't sleep. By morning, the sound was gone, but my nerves were shot. I checked the apartment, looking for vents or cracks where the noise might have come from. The floorboards were solid, no gaps. The walls, though, had those stains, fainter in daylight but still there, like bruises under the paint. I called the landlord, but he didn't answer. Typical. I left a voicemail, asking about the noise, and went to work at the diner down the street, trying to shake the unease. At the diner, I mentioned the hum to my coworker, Jess, a chain-smoking woman in her 40s who'd lived in town her whole life. She froze mid-pour, coffee splashing on a counter. "You hear it too?" she asked, her voice low. I nodded, expecting her to laugh it off. Instead, she leaned closer, her breath sour with nicotine. "Don't mess with it. Folks around here, they say this town's built on something bad. Old mines, collapsed tunnels. Things down there don't like being disturbed." Her eyes darted to the window, like she expected something to be watching. I pressed her for details, but she clammed up, muttering about customers waiting. That night, the hum returned, louder. It wasn't just under the floor now. It vibrated through the walls, the air in my bones. I tried to ignore it, blasting music through my headphones, but it cut through, relentless. Around 2 a.m., I noticed something new. A smell, faint at first, like damp earth and decay. It grew stronger, seeping from the corner of my bedroom where the stains were darkest. I knelt by the wall, sniffing like an idiot, and saw it, a hairline crack, barely visible, running vertically from floor to ceiling. I touched it, and the plaster felt soft, almost wet. The hum spiked, and I yanked my hand back, heart hammering. Something was wrong with this place. Really wrong. The next day, I bought a crowbar from the hardware store. If the landlord wouldn't answer, I'd figure this out myself. Back home, I pried at the baseboard near the crack. The wood splintered easily, revealing a patch of concrete beneath. But it wasn't normal concrete. It was uneven, pockmarked, and streaked with dark, oily stains. The hum was louder here, almost deafening, and the smell hit me like a punch. Rot, thick and cloying, like something long dead. I dug further, pulling up more floorboards, and found a metal plate, rusted but solid, embedded in the concrete. It was about 2 feet square, with no handle, no markings, just a faint etched symbol in the center, like a spiral with jagged edges. I should have stopped. Every instinct screamed to walk away, to move out, to burn the lease, and never look back. But I couldn't. The hum was in my head now, pulling me toward that plate. I grabbed a hammer and chisel from my toolbox and started chipping at the concrete around it. Hours passed, my arms aching, sweat mixing with the stench. Finally, the plate loosened. I wedged the crowbar under it and heaved. It popped free with a sickening screech, revealing a hole. Not a basement, not a crawl space, just a black, yawning void. The hum roared now, a deep, primal drone that made my vision blur. I shone my flashlight down, but the beam caught nothing. The hole seemed to swallow light itself. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was the hum, or maybe I'm just stupid. But I tied a rope to my bed frame, secured it around my waist, and lowered myself into the hole. The air was cold, damp, and heavy with that rotting smell. My flashlight flickered as I descended, the walls slick with something slimy. About 10 feet down, my feet hit solid ground. I was in a tunnel, narrow and rough-hewn, stretching into darkness in both directions. The hum was everywhere now, vibrating through the stone, through me. I took a step forward, and my shoe crunched on something. I looked down, a small, brittle bone, human-looking, half buried in the dirt. Panic clawed at me, but I couldn't climb back up yet. The hum was pulling me forward, like a hook in my chest. I walked, the tunnel sloping downward, the air growing colder. The walls were carved with symbols, spirals like the one on the metal plate, but larger, deeper, some smeared with what looked like dried blood. I found more bones, fingers, ribs, a skull with a jagged hole in it. My flashlight started to fail, flickering wildly, and in the strobing light, I saw something move ahead, a shadow, too tall, too thin, and slipping around a bend. I froze, my breath loud in the silence. The hum stopped. For a moment, there was nothing but my heartbeat. Then a whisper, not from the tunnel, but inside my head. "You found us," it said, low and rasping, like gravel dragged across glass. I turned to run, but my rope snagged. I yanked at it, desperate, and heard a snap. The rope had come loose. I was trapped. The shadow moved again, closer now, its shape wrong. Limbs too long, head too small, jerking like a puppet with cut strings. I bolted, flashlight dying, plunging me into darkness. I ran blind, scraping against the walls, tripping over bones. The whisper grew louder, joined by others, overlapping, chanting words I couldn't understand. My hands found a ladder, rusted cold metal. I climbed, sobbing, until I hit another metal plate. I pounded on it, screaming, and it gave way, dumping me into a basement I hadn't known existed. I scrambled out, slamming the plate shut, and ran to my apartment, locking every door. I didn't sleep for days. The hum was gone, but the silence was worse. I called Jess, told her everything. She didn't laugh. "Get out," she said. "That place, it's not right. People used to work in those mines, back in the 20s. They'd go down and never come up. The company sealed the tunnels, said it was cave-ins. But folks around here, they knew. Something was down there. Something hungry. I wanted to leave, but I couldn't afford to. I nailed the floorboards back down, covered the metal plate with a rug, and tried to pretend it never happened. But things got worse. The stains on the walls grew darker, spreading like ink blots. The smell never left, even with every window open. At night, I'd hear scratches under the floor, slow and deliberate, like nails on wood. Once I woke to find my bedroom door open, though I'd locked it. Footprints, bare, too large, smeared with dirt, led from the door to the rug over the metal plate. I started researching the building. Old newspaper articles from the library talked about the town's mining days. In 1923, a collapse trapped 17 workers. The company didn't even try to dig them out, just sealed the shaft and moved on. Locals claimed the miners weren't dead, that they found something in the tunnels, something they started worshiping. There were stories of disappearances, of people hearing voices from the ground, of shadows seen in the mines before they were closed. One article mentioned a cult, a group that believed the earth held guardians that demanded offerings. They'd been run out of town, but not before leaving behind symbols, spirals, etched in stone. I couldn't stay. I broke my lease, packed my car, and moved in with a friend across town. But the hum followed me. Not loud, but there in quiet moments, buzzing in my head. I'd see the spiral symbol everywhere, scratched into bus seats, painted on walls, even in my dreams. And the shadow, I catch glimpses of it, always at the edge of my vision, always gone when I turned. Hey, if you're gripped by this story, do me a favor, smash that like button and hit subscribe. It helps keep these creepy tales coming, and trust me, it gets wilder from here. Let's dive back in. 6 months later, I thought I'd escaped. I had a new job, a new place, a new life. But the hum never left. It was faint like a distant radio signal, but it was always there. I started having nightmares, vivid, suffocating ones. I'd be back in the tunnel, the shadow looming over me, its face a void, its voice whispering my name. I'd wake up sweating, my room smelling of damp earth. Once, I found dirt under my fingernails, though I hadn't been outside. I went back to the library, digging deeper. I found a journal, tucked away in the archives, written by a miner named Elias Hart in 1922. His entries started normal. Work logs, complaints about the cold. But they changed. He wrote about the hollow, a chamber deep in the mine where the air felt alive. He described voices, not human, promising power, knowledge, eternity. The last entry was a single line. They want us to join them. They want us all. I tracked down the landlord. He was holed up in a trailer on the edge of town, drunk and paranoid. When I mentioned the apartment, he laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "You found it, didn't you?" he said. "The plate. The hole." I told him not to rent that unit, but money's money. He admitted the building was built over a sealed mine shaft. The company had lied about the collapse. There was no cave-in. The miners had refused to come up, chanting in the dark, carving spirals into the walls. The company sealed them in alive to stop whatever they'd started. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was piling up. The hum, the shadow, the symbols, they weren't random. Something was still down there, and it had seen me. I started noticing people watching me, strangers with blank faces, standing too still, and their eyes locked on me. Once at a gas station, a woman approached me, her smile too wide. "You've seen the hollow," she said, then walked away before I could respond. Last week, I went back to the apartment building. I don't know why. Maybe I needed closure, or maybe it was the hum, pulling me back. The place was condemned now, windows boarded, walls tagged with graffiti. But one tag stood out, a spiral, fresh and black, painted over my old unit's door. I broke in, heart pounding. The apartment was empty, the rug gone, the metal plate exposed. It was open, just a crack, and the hum poured out, louder than ever. I didn't look inside. I couldn't. But I heard it, a whisper, my name, over and over. I ran, but it's not over. The hum is louder now, even miles away. The shadow is closer, slipping into my peripheral vision, standing at the foot of my bed in the dark. I've started carving spirals. On paper, on my desk, on my skin. I don't know why. It feels right, like it's what I'm supposed to do. Last night, I woke to find my bedroom floor covered in dirt, a spiral drawn in it, pointing to my door. I don't think I can outrun this. The hollow wants me. It wants you too. If you hear the hum, if you see the spiral, don't follow it. Don't look. Because once you do, it knows you. And it doesn't let go.